What's wrong with you?
Nothing.
You're on your man period?
No. That's a permanent marker.
I'm going... It was attached to this. Did you switch the markers?
No, I don't touch it.
So I can't use this marker. So what can I use then?
I'm kidding, dude.
God. What's up, guys? Welcome back to JPMP. I'm Justin.
I refuse to say my name on camera. I do not consent.
Manny's address is... Today we're listening to one of my favorite artists of the 80s, Michael McDonald. The song I Keep Forgettin'. Awesome song. Love it. It's a 5 for me. I know the song. Manny, do you know the song?
No.
Thank you. That took way too long for you to do that. Anyways, so I am going to believe that Manny will rate this song probably about right here. Manny, don't look.
Why would I look?
Every time. Do you know anything of Michael McDonald? Do you recognize him or anything like that?
Old McDonald had a farm. I just thought it'd be funny.
Yeah.
No,
What did you know?
Oh, back in the bus.
Yacht rock is something that's been mentioned on the channel before.
Why is it called yacht rock, though?
Because it's like the you think of like you're just sitting on your yacht because you're rich, you're white, and this is just what you listen to.
Are you kidding?
Yacht rock is a predominantly white genre.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong with that. It takes elements from other things such as funk and soul, which are predominantly black. There's nothing wrong with saying that.
It's just funny the way you say it. I'm rich, I'm white. Gosh, that was funny.
Listen,
that was good.
This video is going to get racial, but in a good way, and it's going to...
That's fine.
Just wait. Races exist. Grow up.
I like your shirt. Hey.
Don't start with me. Guys, isn't this the best shirt that I've worn on this show?
Okay,
though?
well, see,
isn't this the best
hang
one
on.
that I've worn on this show?
It.
I think you're going to like this on some level.
Okay.
So let us know what you think of the song. Of course, leave your recommendations in the comments down below. Join us there for discussions, and join us on Twitter. Let's get into it. That was not bad,
Yeah,
right?
not bad.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is I Keep Forgettin' by Michael McDonald.
Let's go. Oh. I would like to take everybody on a time warp back into the days of Manny's old JPMP ratings. Okay. I would like to rate this a 1,004,500 trillion tickle me pretty out of 5. Yeah, dude, it's good.
That's a bop.
Yeah. I'll get that on record, bro.
You didn't say that's a millennial thing to say. You always say that.
Because you say a lot of millennial stuff.
I know, but I said it to trigger you.
I'm a millennial as well, but I'm just saying you say the common phrases that you see on Google.
Trigger you. Yeah, I said it to trigger you, but you just let it go.
What?
Yeah, that's a bop, though.
Trigger?
Like, yeah.
That triggered me.
This song is, like, perfect. I love this song so much. So, obviously, that's a perfect score from you also. I mean, I think everything about this song is just, like, perfect for what it is.
Why do you like it? Why did you grow up with it?
I didn't grow up with this, honestly. Yacht Rock is something that I discovered, honestly, probably in the last, like, few years. But I like everything about it. So, let's take his vocals out. Let's just focus on the instruments really quick, right? Great funk-based, solid groove going on.
Which is why I like Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Correct.
I think even why I like Frank Sinatra and sorry, and stuff.
Right. So already the instruments are laying down this awesome groove. I love that. Funk is just one of those things that like you can't help but move like when you hear it, right? But even if you break it down a little further, each instrument is keeping the groove, but always doing little things just to make it more interesting. Right? So the drums, the double bass at the end, or the double kick.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting the double bass at the end of that.
Yeah, but just for like just for a beat, and then it's done. And even throughout, it's doing little fills here and there that make it more interesting. The bass gave Michael his room to sing, but then every once in a while you would hear it do like a long run.
Yeah.
You know? Which was awesome. So
I think it's the treble in that too. That makes it sound good.
Yeah, it's the production of it. So I think everything in here, like in the song, is just like perfect. His voice, I love it because it's not. His voice, I don't think, is like funky in a literal sense, like what you would hear with funk. But it is somewhat relatable in what we've heard with like Earth, Wind, and Fire, the high pitch. You know, and I think that's really interesting.
That's
the contrast.
That's
yeah. I think it's really interesting, like the contrast of like the deep funk groove, very bass driven, and then the high vocals. And I think that contrast is what makes this type of music interesting.
Yeah,
I just need to look up something.
I think there's something about this. It's interesting. Like, why is this still good? Like, why is it still good all these years later?
And I want to get into that in just a second because that's a great point. I actually really like the lyrics a lot for this, and I like the title of the song. Obviously, I keep forgetting, and it's
I keep forgetting love anymore.
But I think the lyrics and the story within the song is very relatable, right?
Feed it to me.
If you've ever been in like a breakup, but you still have to be near that person for whatever reason, you still have to be around them in some sense, whether it's going to school, work, something like that, right?
Another channel.
Right. But let's just say it wasn't like necessarily a bad breakup where you hate each other. It's just like you have to be around them, but you don't like them or whatever, right? The message, I keep forgetting we're not in love anymore. I think that line right there is very relatable. Because you still have to be near that person, but now your relationship and the dynamics have changed. So it's like you literally forget, oh, I can't hug them. I can't, talk to them this way anymore because we're not together.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really interesting
Dang, you
story.
can't even hug? You can't even side hug?
You can't do nothing.
Wow.
Hover hand. You gotta hover hand. You gotta do this.
You can't even
you
side
gotta hover hand.
You gotta do the...
Yeah, the wave.
Or even worse, you gotta do the handshake.
Oof. Oh! Hit up with the handshake. That's cringe-topia right there. Oof. I mean, I think everything about this song, honestly, is perfect.
What makes this still good all these years later, though?
What makes the song timeless?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, that'd be our discussion then for this one. I think part of it is the production. I think a major part of it is the production, but also just the quality of the song.
Keep going. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think production plays a major role, a bigger role than most musicians and music levels will like to admit, because a lot of people say, well, regardless of production, if it's a good song, it's going to sound good, and that's true to an extent.
To an extent.
But production can really kick it up a certain notch to make it always last. So, for example, from what I know, it was really in the 70s, I would say, late 60s through the 80s, that I think music production really hit like its stride. And that's why music from that era still sounds good today.
Right.
This was made in 82. Still sounds great today. It will sound great for the foreseeable future, I think. When you go before that, the production doesn't play as much of a role, but it's the actual music quality now. Because you have obviously like 20s music that you hear, swing, jazz, and the production.
Standards.
Yeah, and the production in that, it sounds old, yes, but it has a charm to it. Right? So even the quality of the music is great because the production has a charm. It makes you like it even more. Go ahead.
I think it comes down to this. I think the reason this stuff is still good is because I feel like people played their instruments.
Absolutely.
I feel like
100%.
I feel like there was more of a like they were closer to the core.
Yeah.
Back. That was good, right?
There's a word that you said and it made me
closer to the core.
Yes,
right?
yeah,
so
yeah.
I have kind of a side example. All
Okay,
right, guys,
okay.
So check this out.
What?
Check this out.
Okay, bye guys. That just happened.
Hang on. I have kind of an idea.
Okay,
So
okay.
Check this out.
Okay.
So, look, when you guys look at this, right, you're like, why is this picture good, right?
Okay.
It's a Polaroid.
Correct.
Right?
Older technology.
Can you look up when the Polaroids were like...
Absolutely.
Were made? Okay, so hang on. Let me just set this up real quick. Here we go. Right there. Okay. Come on.
1937 Cambridge was when it was founded.
All right, so check this out. People today are still trying to emulate that, right?
Yes.
Because if you look at the picture, hang on, guys. If you look at the picture is like old and kind of grainy. It's not quite in focus, but there's still something charming about it.
Correct.
Right? It's the same reason. Hang on.
Yep.
Hang on.
Bring it back.
It's the same reason.
Okay. Oh, you're going. I thought he was coming back to the chair. He's going back that way now.
Check this out. Here's how I'm gonna compare yacht rock 80s, the standards. I'm about to blow everyone's mind. So check this out. This is why this stuff sounds good, and this is why all these kids, these youngins, still trying to do their thing and trying to get like record players. It's the same reason why Crosley is still trying to make these. How do you call it?
Are you going to get more stuff? No. The table is going to be filled with stuff.
So you have your camera, right? And so your camera, I guess you can compare this to the instruments, right?
Okay.
Right. So the instruments are like the skill.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
So then as you're shooting, it's like the production may come out and like you may not have like the best quality or you may not have the best like lens on it or the film on here is still dirty and kind of grainy, right? But the thing is, it's not really so much about the actual tool so much as it is the person that's actually initiating that shutter
And operating it.
and that's the word, operating. So then you have to think about like composition and the story behind the photo.
Right.
Did they choose black and white film or colored film? Like those are all elements that come into play like after, like even before it's even produced.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like why
from the person.
Yeah.
It comes through.
Or what about like the situation that they're actually photographing? You know what I mean too?
Right.
So that's how I can compare like why something in the 1980s I feel sounds so much better than like half this. I gave that a beyond 5.
Yeah.
And I hardly give any songs on here
Right.
that because there's this sense of I don't have to think. Let me just pump out music. Let me just pump out content.
Yes.
Like that's the entire world that we're living in today.
Yeah,
We're just,
exactly.
I mean, and I think, full circle.
Please.
I think us going back to 3 days a week is even better because we want to be timeless in a sense, right? We can't be timeless when we're just trying to push out and pump out content, right?
Correct,
You can't
correct,
push out and pump out content. You have to shoot the photo. And before you can even shoot it, you can't even review it. You have 36 photos on this, right?
That's all.
You have to take it and you have to actually
Make the most out of
out of what you're doing. Then you have to go take it to get developed, and then you got scans, and then you got prints, and it's like there's work that's involved
to make
in
it
right?
timeless.
I think all those factors, right? Just like film, just like people are always trying to emulate film. People are always trying to watch these older documentaries. Like Stranger Things is another
Vaporwave movement comes back music-wise.
People are loving this 80s movement now, right? I'm starting to love it because I'm starting to see the beauty in it.
Right.
There's something about taking your time and producing and actually knowing your instrument that sounds better and will always sound better than produced content that
Yes.
just goes and goes and
Yes,
goes.
and that's
goes.
an amazing point because I'm going to get into that in just a second.
Because
But you finish what you're going to do.
Because you do have to produce content, right?
Yes.
Especially in this day
Yes.
and age, you have to stay relevant,
Yes.
right? But there's a reason that stuff goes in and out of fashion, right?
Correct.
There's a reason things don't stick forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then there's still record shops here in Orlando, like.
Right, and that's a thing that come back.
Like I still go
Because
to
of the sound
find
quality.
records, right? I still go to find artists like this are just
Mm-hmm.
like what they still sound good for that reason because they're timeless,
Right.
because there were real instruments, because there were real. It was closer to the core of like, you know.
There's a word I was trying to think of, but it's I know what you mean though.
You know what I mean though?
It didn't feel artificial. It feels real.
It didn't feel rushed. Mm-hmm. Like none of this stuff felt rushed.
No.
Especially
They had
this
time
80s music.
to
You know what I mean?
relax and figure out what they wanted to do.
And then I
and
guess you
structure
can
the song.
argue too about like freestyle because I love freestyle music, but even then it's like there was only so many types of samplings that they had back
Correct.
then. There's only so many different types of piano sounds that they had, and now
Correct.
you're inundated with like
I'm going to talk about that too.
however many guitar tones you can get and
Right.
what
many
filters can you put on?
samples
How many?
and
And before it was
everything.
just like shoot,
This is what you got.
shoot, and this is what you got.
Right.
Right.
Make the best out of it.
Guitar. This we have limited recording stuff.
Exactly.
Your guitar, you don't have brand new strings. Oh well. Like,
And I feel
it
that
is what it
and I
is.
feel that limits are something that can actually push creativity even further. So think about the limits in production. Let's just use production and like guitar pedals and stuff like that in the 70s. Okay, you had let's just say 5 things, right? Mm-hmm. You make the most with those 5 things you have.
Right.
To make it sound like you have 10 things.
And before, how did the distortion start coming out? Like somebody dropped their
I have no idea.
their amp and it started like
Who knows?
going crazy. They
I
didn't
have
have
no
a
idea.
they didn't have a bunch of foot pedals
Right.
and looping stuff.
And then think to the 80s, okay? Now you got 10 things, 10 ways to record or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. A little more freedom, but you still have to push if you want to elevate, right?
Right.
Now, 2019, you have like a million.
Yeah.
You don't have to work as much.
You don't have to work as hard.
Right. And so, and it's not that passion and creativity is lost, but the will to push limits.
The amount of effort.
Work, heart to push limits and to really work for what you're trying to make and create is kind of getting lost a little bit.
Yeah.
And I think that's a negative effect of the ease of access to make music, right? Because before, in like let's just say 80s, 70s, wherever, somewhere in that era, you had to go somewhere to record music. You couldn't just really
Right.
stay at home and record music. You had to go. So you would prepare.
Right.
You would work.
And then those few recording places had like the top quality at the time.
Right.
Because it wasn't as widely as
Exactly.
available. So when you went
Exactly.
there, you knew you were going to get something good.
Exactly. Now, I could sit here with my phone, record a beat or whatever, put it out, and boom, I made music.
Record it in the H5 and it's decent.
Yeah,
enough.
so you see the difference in what you can do, but I think limits are really interesting.
Yeah.
And kind of going with what you were talking about before of like things aging and timeless, you know, I like to relate it and think about CGI in movies. Mm-hmm. Okay. So if you go into the 90s, Jurassic Park, still one of the best looking movies ever.
Yeah.
Not only because they used real effects
Because they
with-
had
but-
limitations.
and they worked and they pushed it.
Their computers couldn't handle like giving a realistic effect, you know, with lighting.
Yeah, but and
With
then
lighting
see-
CGI,
yeah.
but what they did is they just set a lot of their stuff in the dark.
And it still looks good.
It still looks good.
good. You take a movie like Wolverine Origins or whatever it was called,
Garbage.
but the technology was better.
Yeah.
But
But
well, see, but it looks.
Yeah.
It doesn't look timeless. That aged poorly. Jurassic Park has aged wonderfully, right? So I think that's also a thing.
The Star Wars prequels
Right.
aged poorly.
Correct.
And
Correct.
that's why the other ones still look better, in my opinion.
And that's why there's
'Cause
a
they
push
use
now.
They use practical.
Exactly. That's why there's a push to kind of go back to that
Yep.
because of how it looks and stuff like that. Yeah, so I think that's really interesting. Now, I said I was going to bring race and stuff into this, and this is going to be kind of a totally different discussion, but I'm still basing it off of this song. Actually, can you pull up the song Regulate? So this song samples... Hold on. Right, hold on. Okay, so that song samples I Keep Forgetting from Michael McDonald.
Really?
This is a really popular song. Okay, go ahead and play.
Black night, a clear white moon woman, she was on the streets trying to consume some skirts for the eve so I could get some phones rolling.
Yeah. So you see, like, what I wanted to get into with this now, awesome song by the way, is sampling and music at this particular time. This is totally a theory. I could be totally wrong. work with me here.
Can I look it up while you do it?
Please, work with me here. 60s, 70s, those days, obviously African American and black communities were, oppressed, right? Mm-hmm. And they could not afford certain things because historically they were poor. I mean, that's what it is, honestly. I mean, that's how it is, okay? I think that the reason that hip-hop and African American culture are so interwoven historically is because the communities couldn't afford to buy guitars, drums, or instruments, and then lessons to do those in the first place. But what they could afford to express themselves, a pen and paper, and maybe a record player, right? So you would take samples from songs you heard on the record player, on the radio, whatever, and if you could, you would sing, talk, speak, rap over that, because that was your way of expressing yourself. I could honestly be totally wrong. I literally could be 100% wrong. It's just a thought. What do you think? Are you reading? I'm talking specifically in relation to rap and hip hop. I'm not talking like sampling in every other genre that is present in. I'm talking specifically in rap and hip hop.
I don't know. Someone below is gonna probably correct you, but
and it's fine because I don't know. This could be just pure ignorance and stupidity.
Yeah,
I just think.
Well, I mean, you gotta think about it too. Like when we were kids and we had no money.
Right, but you did with what you could.
What did we do? Like our phones, and our phones were like the Nokias. Mm-hmm. I don't even think they could record.
Okay, when you're a kid, right? All right, let's just.
No. Okay.
When you're a kid, right? You can't buy anything. So instead of
you
being able
can't
to
buy anything.
No. So instead of being able to buy like the cool like plastic sword that everyone was using, you'd use a stick.
Sure.
And your imagination would do the rest.
Yeah.
Right? Because you couldn't afford to do the real thing.
Yeah.
I just think that like that's kind of where sampling came. Like with hip hop and stuff, like they couldn't afford the real instruments, the guitars and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even have to be
Possibly.
exclusively African American or black communities. It could be honestly anyone that couldn't afford to do that.
I guess anyone that can't afford to grab those things. I mean, you still have people that can't afford to buy cameras, so they use the closest thing that they can. Everyone has a phone.
Right.
A smartphone with a camera today is everyone has one.
Right.
Like there's no one without it.
And even for myself personally, honestly. So like before, I guess when I was growing up, it was producing your own music, like hip hop and stuff like that, like on your computer was still new. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't really like something you could just hop on and do yet. But what I would do is I would take songs that were already known and I would cut them up and splice them with other stuff so that I would make a new song out of songs that were already made. Mm-hmm. You know? I literally don't know if that's what sampling originated from or... Look, this is a concept. Sampling can take different forms in long history. I want to read it. That's kind of all I had to say about it. Michael McDonald, I mean, awesome song. Love it. Great song.
5 out of 5.
5,000,000 out of 5. Thank you guys so much for watching. Tell us what you think of the song. Tell us what you think of us. Tell us what you think of
where
everything.
sampling came from.
Tell us where sampling came from. We'll read a little bit off the camera.
I'm pretty sure you're gonna get roasted somehow.
I know. Thank you guys so much for watching JPMP. We'll see you later.